All right, so we'll get started. My name is Deana Watson. I am also sometimes referred to as Diana, Deana. I've heard all kinds of stuff, but my name is Deana, and I am teaching this to you all for a couple of reasons. But one, I love doing the give back. I also kind of geek out on branding and making sure that people are congruent online and offline, and it's kind of my jam. So a little bit about me, just so you know who's teaching you. I am a MAPS mastery coach. I've been a one-on-one coach at MAPS for a very long time. I also created this program 6 years ago that I'm teaching this snippet from. We've had a whole lot of people go through it, and we've revamped it quite a few times. So this is a snippet free webinar that comes from an 8-week course that I teach. So I hope today that by the end of this, you can take at least one thing away from here and actually go implement it in your business right now. I'm also a Rainmaker / team founder. So I run an MREA team in Fayetteville, North Carolina, which was Fort Bragg, now Fort Liberty. I'm also the co-leader of the KW military community for all of Keller Williams. We have 5,000 agents that myself and my partner, Matt, lead in the military community here at KW. The reason for that is because my husband is currently in the military. He is Special Forces in the United States Army, actually currently deployed. So as of right now, I am a solo mom to a little boy who is almost 6. He is redheaded and every bit of the stereotype. So dog lover. One of my dogs may like chew her way through my house right now because she hates the thunder. So I hope that doesn't happen and I don't end up with a hole in my wall and in my window. But if that happens, we'll fix it. I guess everything is figure outable. Lastly, the reason I'm teaching this to you is because the way I've been able to build my business and also grow my coaching business is all through social media and branding. So kind of my jam. So today I want to walk you through, there's really 3 things that we're going to go over. One, how to actually understand the main components of strong branding, which is a tool that you will use to grow your business on social. We'll also talk about reevaluating your brand strategy and then talk about 6 things that you need to do to get in the game of social media. And I want you all to understand as we go through this course that branding is a tool, your messaging is a tool. Of course, stories and reels and all of those apps are also tools as well. But the biggest tool you have is you. And I hope by the end of this, I help you understand a little bit more on how to actually use that to your advantage. So I always start everything I teach with 6 things, and you are welcome to screenshot this. It is also being recorded. So at the end of the day, once the recording kind of populates, this will be uploaded on YouTube and you can rewatch this and do whatever. But if you want to write, I would suggest just screenshotting it and writing down the nuggets, if you will. So I always start everything that I do with these 6 pieces because I truly believe that without all 6 of these, you actually can't really thrive on social media to your full potential. Okay. First thing you have to do is to actually define the plan that you have going into your content. And the one thing that I want to bring up is that plan will probably evolve as you do. For example, I used to really be heavy on lead gen on social media in a normal way that we would consider, do you want to buy it or sell? I did home tours. I did all of those things. Now my plan is more about branding me so that people are attracted to me. So first and foremost, you actually have to really lay out what you're doing and how that is going to strengthen your relationship with either your sphere or with complete and total strangers, because there's really the only 2 types of people on social. Total strangers are people you already know. Number 2, the other thing that I would say is a necessity is that you've got to be completely authentic to who you actually are. I say this because there's nothing worse than thinking you know someone based on watching the way that they interact online and then meeting them and then being a completely different person. We've all heard the stories of celebrities who this is the case, where they play these really wonderful, nice, warm, fuzzy roles on the TV screen. But whenever you meet them in person, they're horrid human beings. That's no different here. You want to make sure you're speaking the way that you normally would speak, that you're acting the way and dressing the way and all the things you normally would. First and foremost, so that when people meet you, they recognize you, right? You want to make sure that people actually know what you look like, not what you just think you should. But really, the last thing, and the thing it took me a really long time to figure out was, I'll give you my own personal example. and maybe this will help you understand where I'm coming from on this. So for probably about 2 years of building my team, I was hitting a roadblock because the people who were coming to join the team were wonderful people, but they weren't looking for the same thing I knew I wanted. So our values matched on the surface, and so they got onto the team. But then as we worked through things, they didn't have the same work ethic. They didn't have the same level of standard for themselves, all the things. So of course, like most people do, I complained to my coach and whined for a very long time until she, I guess, got sick of it and said, well, why would you expect anything differently? All you talk about on social media is how everyone deserves a place that they can feel heard. So of course you're going to have people who want to sit kumbaya around the campfire and not work. Like you talk about having a tribe and family and all the things that your team is, but you don't also talk about how hard the work is and how they might work weekends and evenings. Like, she's like, so of course you're attracting people that only want to sit around and roast marshmallows. And I'm like, I hate you. So the other reason to be authentic is because if you're putting something out online, you're going to get back what you put out. And a lot of times we put out what we think people want to see. And then the people that show up in our world as a result of that messaging are not the people we want to be around. And we wonder why we're stuck. If you've ever thought to yourself, we're going to do a fun exercise in the chat box. Get your fingers ready. If you've ever thought to yourself, am I on an island here? Like, I can't be the only one that thinks this is utterly ridiculous. If you've ever thought that, put me in the chat box, ever. I think that sometimes, like, I had a relationship, I actually hired a relationship coach to help me understand how to be more warm and fuzzy a few years ago. And I remember calling her and saying, am I on an island or is everyone stupid? Like, I literally said that. And she said, well, then why are you the queen of the stupid people? And I'm like, I don't know. So all things considered, you all, I'm just trying to make a joke with that. But really, if you think to yourself with your clients, with your friendships, with anything you're doing, why are these people attracted to me? If you've ever thought that, something you're putting out into the world is not authentic to who you are on the inside, because they're responding to what they see. And those types of people are the ones that see something similar in them. So if what you're projecting is something similar to someone you don't want to be around, stop doing that, because that's where all these people are coming from in your whole life. This is not just in your business, right? Number 3, the most important thing on here is be consistent. Social media these days is literally all about the algorithms that run these platforms, and the algorithms reward consistency higher than almost anything else. So the moment you become inconsistent, you actually kind of disappear. And I know that's horrible. And yes, it takes a lot. And yes, it's hard work. But if you don't do it, there's really no point in playing the game. Okay. Number 4, define your target audience. Now, this has also been referred to as a niche or a niche, depending on where you live. And ideally, what you're looking for is, whose problem do I actually want to solve? I want you to write that down, and you can actually answer that in the chat box. I'd love to see your answers. Whose problems do you actually want to spend your life solving? Whose problems do you want to dedicate your months and your years to solving? That's what we are. We are highly paid problem solvers, and your personal income is a direct proportion in this industry to how many people whose problems you can solve. The more people you can solve problems for, the more money you make. That is fact. That is not my personal opinion, although now it is my personal opinion. So really, the target audience, said another way, is whose problems do you want to dedicate your business to solving? Okay. Now, number 5 goes right in with number 4. Figure out what their pain points are. And there's a reason for this. Okay. If you've never read Building a Brand Story, Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller, it is a book I highly recommend for all things social and branding and messaging. He talks in there about the framework to tell an adequate story that compels people to use you or work with you. And one of the things he talks about in there is that you are not the hero of the story, you are the guide. So what that means is your audience is the hero. You are guiding them to success with a plan that you have created. You always market the plan, not the person. Meaning, I don't market me, I market the problem I solve and the plan in which I use to solve it. This is where so many of us go wrong on social media or in our marketing in general as business professionals. We're like, well, I'm the top whatever, I'm the number one of this. And no offense to you, but nobody cares. They don't. We care. Our egos care. Our awards care. Our market centers care. The consumer doesn't care. They care how that matters to them. How does you being number one in your marketplace fix their problem? And when you can figure out how to articulate that, the whole game is over for everybody else around you, right? Like you've taken the cake. So I don't want you to take offense to anything I say. I'm going to say sorry, not sorry. I'm actually pretty blunt and honest about things so that we don't have to spend all day dancing around the problem. But if you can define your audience and you figure out what they struggle with, you can then create a plan to fix it. And you always market the plan, not the problem or the person. Market the plan that you have to fix the problem. It's literally storytelling 101, but none of us think about ourselves as storytellers, and you are. Okay. All right. If we know a few things about the game of social media and online leads, we can also make some basic assumptions on how to grow ourselves using the tools on this platform. Okay. So first and foremost, I'm going to ask you this, and I want you all to be level 10 transparent. Anyone, say I, or whatever you want to say, actually put camel, since there's a camel on here. We're going to write camel in the chat box. So if you've ever been told to time block and you've sat in your time block and not had enough time to actually do what you needed to do in that time block, write camel in the chat box. And I'm going to tell you why that's happening to you. If you've ever sat down to make your calls and you're like, I got an hour, I'm going to lead gen for an hour, and you sit down and you get to 2 calls and the hour is over, write camel. There's a lot of camels in the chat box. Love it. Here's what's happened. The world has told you to time block, but they've not told you that it's actually more than one time block to execute on your lead gen. That's no different than social media. Think of social media and lead gen as the same thing. What we all tell people as teachers and trainers and coaches and etc. is you have to time block. You've heard that a million times, a million different ways. Here's what actually has to happen, though, that a lot of people aren't aware enough of themselves to explain to you or to anyone who has this problem. Time blocking actually is 4 separate time blocks. And this is for social, but also for your business, like your regular everyday life in business. You first have to time block to plan the plan. That is part 1. Part 1 of time blocking is you've got to have a space to plan the plan on social media. But I also want you to think about this in regards to your real estate life outside of social. You've got to have a time where you sit down and you think, my audience is this, their problems are these, and in order to solve their problems, I have to do this. That's when you're time blocking to plan the plan. I used to do once a month, the first Monday for 4 hours. It was a standing time block on my schedule. I had planning, content planning for social. And that stayed there for years until it just kind of becomes second nature to me. The second thing you have to do is time block to build the content. Now on social media, that is taking the videos, taking the photos, editing them, getting the videos prepared, all of that stuff. In your regular real estate world, that might be pulling a call list, because all of you who put camel in the time block probably sit down in that hour and you spend the first 20 minutes figuring out who you're going to call. And then you spend the next 10 minutes psyching yourself up for calling and moving things around on your desk, because apparently the feng shui helps you make the calls, right? We know that that's not true, but that's what we do because we don't have a time block to actually build out the thing that we're putting in front of someone. You have to do that. That's time block number 2. Time block number 3 is time block to run the play, run the plan. In social media, that means time block to actually put the things out there. In your regular real estate world, that means time block to actually make the calls, right? Now, number 4, the 4th and final time block, when everyone tells you you need a time block and you think it's 1, it's really 4. The 4th one is time block to follow up with whatever happens. That should not happen during your time block to run the play. So when you're sitting down to make your lead gen calls and you're calling, and you're like, oh, somebody called me back, you shouldn't answer that right then, because you're stopping your forward progress. Same thing, when you're running the play and you're posting on social media, do that and then stop, take a small break and do the follow-up, right? This is just a geeky thing that I know because I study mindset so much. It has nothing to do with social media, but it might help you not get burnt out. So then that will help you in all these other ways. Generally speaking, your brain, no matter how smart you are, can only stay focused for up to 50-ish minutes every single instance where you're working for like one length at a time. So a lot of us sit down and we're like, I'm going to time block these 4 hours and I'm going to do this for 4 hours and I'm going to power through. You actually, after about 50 minutes, have diminishing returns mentally on what you're focused on. So what I would personally suggest as you embark on these 4 time blocks is that you put 50 minutes of work and 10 minutes of nothing. Get up, move your body, go walk around, reset yourself, sit back down, do time block number 2. That is a social media thing, but also a thing in your regular business. You're less creative and less resourceful the longer duration that you are sitting and doing something sedentary. Okay. And I'm not here as like a lifestyle coach, but it does work. Now, the next thing you have to do is you actually do have to post multiple times a day. I know, I'm sorry, it just is what it is. Some of them are going to be on your personal Facebook page. Some of them are going to be on your stories. And some people will ask, well, how many times a day? I love the question. And the answer kind of depends. And I also hate when people answer that way. I'm going to do it anyway. If you're currently posting once a day, see how quickly you can have the habit of doing it twice. If you're currently posting not at all, see how soon you can get yourself to once a day. If you're pretty good at this and you do it 2 or 3 times a day, see how you can tweak your messaging to get more out of what you're posting. Generally speaking, I personally, between most of the platforms that I run for myself, I'm posting about 5 or 6 times throughout the day, but here's the catch. Most of that content was already shot long ago. If you look on my page today, I'm going to post something this afternoon. I'm not wearing this shirt because I took the picture I'm posting a week ago. Okay. Most people will never know that unless you're on a live with me in any given day. But please understand that you've got to be consistently posting at multiple times throughout the day, because you will literally have multiple people who log in at any given point in time. And if you post only in the mornings and your audience comes on in the evenings, they're not seeing what you're posting. The interesting thing specifically about this is that you can use scheduling apps if you have to, but I would really stop and think, how often are people on social? Are they on in certain times of the day when maybe they're not in others? The point of it is, if you're posting when people aren't on, by the time they are, so many other people have put things out there that they're not seeing what you put up for them to see. So that's kind of the other reason for that. Last, but really the most important one, and certainly not least, do not only post about real estate. And all of what we're talking about today should be done on your personal Facebook page, your personal Instagram. I have people, and I actually had this happen earlier this week, and I love the question, do you just coach my business or do you coach me? And I say, well, who's in your business? Isn't it you? It's the same thing. You can't talk about real estate without talking about your life. You can't talk about your life without talking about real estate. They go hand in hand. The other thing is, the more people already know you, that you show to them that you do real estate, the more business you get. If the only thing you've done up to this point is post on a business page, those folks who are on there probably don't actually know you. The people who actually know you and they talk to you and they engage with you are on your personal page. Go where they already are, right? Don't send them to something else. All right, I'm going to go through real quickly. We're not going to stay on this for long. One of the biggest tools for building an unshakable brand on social media is you. It is your branding. It's how do people distinctly know that they're referring to you. One of the tools that maybe I really wouldn't look at it as a tool on a specific level, but one of the biggest tools that you can use to your favor is to build a really strong brand. So I'm going to give you a few of the components of that, because that is like first and foremost here. First of all, brand identity is one of the most important things in terms of getting started, because it's what people see. It's your fonts, it's your logo, it's the filters you use, it's the vibe of how you speak and flow throughout your day. And some of you will tune out to this, but I'm going to ask you not to for just a second. I want you to stop for a minute and we're going to play a game. If you're driving, don't play this game. If you're not driving, we're going to play a game. I want you to look around wherever you're sitting right now, and I want you to count. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to do it. How many brands you see, and I'm going to make my point real quickly on why branding matters. So this is hand sanitizer, clearly. Purell is a brand. Topo Chico is a brand. You get my point here. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds. I want you to look around the room you're in and find as many brands as you can, and then put the number of the amount you found in the chat box. How many brands are you staring at right now in the chat box? How many do you see in the chat box? 10, 10, 8, 10, 11, 3, 2. Remember, your shoes probably have a logo on them. A logo is a brand. Your watch probably has a logo. Your iPhone has a logo. Camelback, my water bottle, has a logo. Everything, right. So many you can't count. Everything has a logo. Everything. So the reason I bring this up is because you being online compete with all of the people you just saw around you. Every last one of these people are paying mega bucks to have their brand in front of us at all times. And the reason that matters to you is because once you enter this space of consumer economy, people who are online are consumers, you have to make yourself identifiable, that where you will stand out amongst all the ads people are getting. Okay. The reason this is really important for real estate agents is because people will forget your name far sooner than they will forget the visual. For whatever reason, humans are wired to identify things that look similar. And the reason is because back in the prehistoric days, that kept us alive, right? As a species, your brain hasn't really evolved that much since then, which is why fight, flight, and freeze is still a thing, right? We'll talk about that another day. But the reason to have a really strong brand identity is because people won't remember your name, but if your logo is the same over and over and over and over, people will start to recognize it, even if they don't recognize you. Okay, really big deal. Number 2, your brand's purpose. Your brand's purpose is, why do people want to do business with you? What is the reason that you're in business? What are you doing? The purpose your brand serves is also some of the problems it solves, right? Get really clear on that. Number 3, brand messaging. Simply put, this is how you actually communicate with people, whether it's through ads, whether it's through organic just handshakes online, whether you're putting out, I don't know, maybe you're putting out classes all the time. It's how are you actually communicating what you do with your audience and why they should use you. Brand messaging is also important. These are listed in order. Until you have a pretty strong understanding of who you are and your identity and all the things, knowing what your purpose is kind of hard if you don't know who you are, right? So make sure that you don't skip a step there, but really understanding this whole concept of these 5 is important. And it's a tool you can use in the back of your pocket to help people come to you whenever they think about real estate. Number 4 is brand differentiation. And I hate saying that word because it sounds like it's the wrong word, although it is spelled correctly. That is really, how are you different than any other real estate company or agent or team or market center or whatever? What is it that you do differently from other people? I want to say this with love. You selling homes quickly and for more money, and those taglines, it looks wonderful on a bumper sticker, but it doesn't make you different. Why? Because all 3,000 other realtors in your area can say the same thing. I know, it sucks. We have to get creative. Number 5, brand experience. So when someone meets you or reaches out to you or messages you or whatever they do, how do they feel when they leave you? People will not remember what you say. They will remember how you made them feel. And I want to make this example here in this class. You either already kind of dig my vibe or you hate the fact that I'm calling things out. You're probably only going to fit in one of those 2 buckets. And I understand that. So my experience for you and your experience with me needs to align, or we're not right for each other. Same thing in your branding. How do people see you? For example, do you vent? Do you take political stances? Do you rant and rave on social media? Do you spread negativity? People find that. I just want y'all to understand, people find that. And if you are the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, you may be fired for doing those kind of things. But here's the reality. You are the CEO of your own brand. Use it to a tool. Use it as a tool for yourself to grow your business. People want to do business with people that they align with, right? Last thing is consistency. So if your yard signs look different than your business cards and those look different than your social platforms, it kind of confuses people. Remember, you all, as you're building out your brand, the reason you're wanting it to look the same is because recognition with pictures and visuals for a human brain is much easier and quicker and less forgettable than your name. This is the only reason why branding itself is a tool that you have to master the art of in order for you to have a massive business on social from people that are not someone you already know. Okay. Now, we're going to spend a lot of time today talking about branding because literally every tool that you would use on social media, whether it's reels or stories or whatever, kind of needs to be on brand, if you will, needs to match. So I'm going to give you 8 elements for a strong visual brand on social media. And I want to talk about why the word visual actually matters. Number 1, social media is a visual platform. All of them operate on getting you to stop the scroll. And it's not like they stop your fingers from moving. They make you stop your eyeballs. That's a visual thing, right? So I want to bring this up, and I want to say before we get going, pick one platform and just own that thing. If you are really good at written content, Facebook might be best for you. If you're amazing at video, I'd look at TikTok or Reels on Instagram. If you're great with writing and visual and pairing a story together, Instagram is probably where you're going to thrive. But please pick one and run with it. Don't do everything. You can't be everything to all people. I don't care how good you are. It doesn't work that way. 8 things you have to make sure you do to have a strong visual brand on social media and use that as a tool to convert business. Keep it interesting. Your content and anything you put out there needs to be something that people want to share. The reason for that is because the algorithm runs off of consistency, but also relevancy. That's the other thing they're looking for. How is what you're posting relevant? And how do they know that? Do they poll the audience? No. They see how many times the share button was hit or the like button or whatever. So make sure that the colors pop, the fonts are readable, the vibe is in line with what you want your brand to be about. And the more you can do that, the better off you will be. The more that it's relevant to people, which is we're going to go to the right, you make it relevant. The more that it's relevant to people, the more they share it, the more they like it, the more they come back to what you do. That is all measured. Anybody has ever thought about the concept of Big Brother? Social media is Big Brother, okay? So literally everything that happens or doesn't happen on the platform is measured. And in that specific situation, everything that is measured is used for or against you, everything, even down to how long someone looks at what you posted. Even if they don't touch it, they don't like it, they don't share it, whatever. If they stop scrolling and stay for more than around 2 seconds, you get a plus in the category for your stuff. If they keep scrolling past it, there's a minus. It's literally like someone saying good or bad all day long with everything that happens. That's exactly what's going on. So you got to make sure you're playing the game. Number 3, make it high quality. The whole rip off and duplicate thing, you all, it just doesn't work anymore on social. So please just don't even waste your time doing that. I know it's hard to like come up with original content and make it unforgettable, but social media today is a very unforgiving space when it comes to the platform showing what you do or not. And so one of the tools in your tool belt, if you will, is to make the content high quality. I'm going to give you one pro tip, if you want to call it that. I'm not someone who wants to drive around taking pictures and videos of everything. I would much rather pay somebody a little bit of money to do that. So most of the pictures I've ever posted, other than the ones of myself, in terms of my business life, they were all taken by a photographer. So I gave her a list of all the places I wanted to feature and like parks and restaurants and all of the stuff. And I sent her off to take photos of those. I paid her $150 every quarter, and she took about 50 pictures. That was enough to get me through my local spotlight stuff. And I didn't have to drive around and take it all. And her photos were super high quality. All right, number 4, keep it in line with your brand. Make sure that the content is not contrasting. One of the other big things that the platforms are looking for that you'll use as a tool in your toolbox is they are actually making sure that everything that is posted is like in line with what certain people want to see. So if this particular audience is looking at this, but then this thing is posted for something else completely different and a whole different set of people look at it, it confuses the platforms and it doesn't know what to show people. They don't want to be confused. They want to know and have predictability, because why? They make their money by keeping people in the space. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they want you to stay in the platform. They make advertising dollars because you stay inside the platform. Everything goes around this. So if you don't keep it in line and you have contrasting things, it's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. And then it stops showing your stuff to anybody because it's confusing. So if sometimes you're talking to first-time home buyers and sometimes you're talking to empty nesters and like your messaging over here doesn't match your messaging over here, it literally throws its hands up and says, I don't know what to do. And then it does nothing for you. If you know the algorithm, you can kind of hack it, which is what I hope to share with you here. All right, the 5th tool, make it informative. Anything that you are doing needs to have some sort of informational context to it, something that people can't find on Google. Most of the time you're informing people without asking for anything in return, and that goes a long way. Give value without the expectation of getting. I'm actually going to go down next. Make it clear. Make the visuals clear, make your images clear, make your questions clear, your asks clear. What is it that you want people to do? At the end of everything you ever post, you need to ask someone to engage with you. So that could be as easy as saying, what are your thoughts on this? That could be as easy as saying, like, I'm on vacation in Hawaii. Who's ever been to Hawaii? I literally asked you guys to engage like 6 different times so far. If you haven't noticed, it's not hard. You just have to post something or do a video and ask for a response. That is another thing the platforms look for. How much do people engage with you? All right, we're going to go over to the top right. Make it emotional. As they say in bold, you've all probably heard this. Logic makes people think and emotions make people act. The more emotion you can invoke in a person, the more compelled they are to reach out to you. Okay. So instead of posting just listed or just sold or pending, talk about the human. Talk about the path and the process to get that person to pended. I saw this years ago and I will literally never forget it. I saw a woman post about selling a home to this other single mom. And she said, you know, the road has been hard and we worked through bankruptcy stuff and divorce and et cetera. And long story short, she talked about the single mom's journey to being able to own the home she was standing in front of with the keys. And then the next picture was a picture of the backyard and a puppy. And the whole story was just sold, right? Story of the mom and the bankruptcy and all the things. And then the next picture was about how excited the mom was to finally be able to give her daughter a yard so she could have a puppy. I don't know if that pulls your heartstrings, but it does mine. And people remember that. That was years ago, and I still remember that. So her just sold ad was about the person and the puppy, not about the house. You have to get really good at that. The more you can make people emotional, the more they'll think about you. And emotion doesn't have to be anger or sad. If any of you have ever done therapy, some of these therapists have an emotional wheel pillow. And I'm like, I didn't even know we had that many emotions. I thought anger, happiness, or sorrow was pretty much all that there was. So there are many emotions other than those that you can kind of pull on to get people to do what you want. The last thing, make it interactive. One of the best tools for this is stories. So in your stories, instead of just posting a random picture, post something with a poll in it. Yes or no, this or that, whatever. You could also do a just listed or a coming soon and guess the price. Get people to interact with you. The machine learning algorithm, which is what they call it now, loves that, and it helps rank your content higher than others. So we talked a little bit about the algorithm, and I think they hated it called the algorithm, and now they call it machine learning. It's the same thing. It's an AI tool, which I actually saw in the chat box. Someone's AI note taker is in this. So someone's using artificial intelligence in this call right now to take notes, which is amazing. Kudos to whoever did that. But there is an AI bot in this call right now. How fun. So 4 ways to use machine learning to your advantage and kind of hack the AI learning system. Number 1, interact with social media friends on a consistent basis. A lot of you, I've heard people aren't call reluctant, they're value deficient. People don't really not want to call. They're not scared of the phone. If they had $1 million, they'd call and tell someone. It's not the phone they're scared of. They just don't know what to talk about. This is a perfect tool to use to your advantage, social media anyway, because your friends and family are already posting on there what's happening in their life. And then you pick up the phone and call them. And oh my God, I saw the other day that you guys got a dog or you got a promotion or whatever. Search your friends list to hit your 20 contacts a day and look for reasons to call people. They're giving them all to you on a silver platter called Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. They're telling you why to call and talk to them about it. Number 2, post and message people when they are online. You have a higher response rate. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they all measure how quickly you respond. And if you go on your Messenger app, you can see little green bubbles next to who's on there. Find a reason, random reason to reach out to them. Hey, I hadn't talked to you in a long time. How you been? I know that we're taught so much, especially during a shift, call and ask for business, call and ask for business. I'm a firm believer that yes, you have to do that, but you have to first earn the right to ask that. And in order to earn the right to ask for business, what do you have to do? Build a bridge, build a relationship, make them not want to not answer you when you call. Use what they post to make that happen. Number 3, go live and post video all the time. This is where I lose some people, and I can actually see how many participants are on here almost every single time. When I start talking about video, I lose like 10 people. So far, you're still here with me. I still am at 84. Great. Love it. Here's the reality. Most of the platforms, when they stand up every year and tell the world and their shareholders what they're doing, most of these platforms are focused on video content to the point where a couple years ago, Facebook predicted, and remember, they're not predicting, they're propagating. Like, this is going to happen. They said that in 5 years, which would be 2.5 years from today, that 75% of the content they would show on their platform would be video. I'm going to say that again. Based on when this was written and how many years ago it was, Facebook, which owns Instagram, so the same thing there, predicted, which means this is what's going to happen, that within 5 years or 2.5 years from today, 75% of the content that they showed on their platform would be video. What does that mean if you're not putting video on their platform? You only have at best 25% chance of having your stuff show up. You guys, they're telling us what to do. Just use it to your advantage. Number 4, use stories and reels in between your posts. Here's the other thing. Social media in general is all about shorts right now, short form video. YouTube has short form video, YouTube Shorts. Reels is in Instagram and Facebook. TikTok is just really all short-term video, although now they've allowed you to go longer than 3 minutes. So we'll see what happens with that. But use these things because this is what they're promoting. This is what they want people to do. And I will tell you this, you don't have to sing and dance. You don't have to lip sync. I see that some of the most prolific agents in our industry on social media are not doing any of that. They're literally coming on and sharing tips 2 and 3 minutes at a time. If you want a shining example about how you can build an empire on short form video without singing and dancing, Glenda Baker. She's not at Keller Williams. She is a really, really prolific person in this particular space of short form video. She has, I don't even know how many tens of millions, or not millions, but tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, million followers she has on TikTok and Instagram. It's a lot. She lives in Atlanta, works in Atlanta, and she has some amazing content that's 30 seconds long, one after the next, and she's not singing and dancing at all. Not singing and dancing at all, okay? Just remember that. All right, so we have about 15 minutes left. I want to run you through a recap, and then we're going to talk about something real quick. Number 1, in order to put yourself in a position to make more than $100,000 on average in 12 months through social media, using some of the things we talked about, you need to lay out what your brand actually is. What do you stand for? And I'll say this, if you do nothing else with what we've talked about today, except one thing, I'll give you the one thing that would be the most important. Y'all listening? Okay. The one thing I think that you could do from this whole presentation that would be the most game-changing thing in your business is really, really, really dig in to how you tell stories about what you're doing. How do you tell stories about what you're doing? And I don't mean, look, I'm at 123 Main Street. That is not what I'm saying. How do you pull people's emotions into your marketing? Okay, think about why the commercials are the way they are on the Super Bowl. They're all meant to make you laugh, upset, happy, sad. It's a thing, and these people pay millions of dollars for it. If you could only do one thing well for the rest of the year, look at mastering the art of telling your own story. Here's the other side of this, you all. If you know so much, like I know that if you're anything like me, at a certain point, you've seen an agent sell properties at a higher level than you think they should, and you know that you're better than they are. Your ego out of the way, you know you could crush them. But guess who doesn't know that? The public, because guess who's telling people? They are. Guess who's gonna die with their knowledge? You are in that scenario. People don't necessarily know what you know unless you market it. It is not self-serving. It's actually not at all self-serving for you to market your expertise to the world because people need it. This world does not need more people. It needs more knowledgeable people that actually care. The world does not need more people. We need more knowledgeable people that actually care. And here's the cool thing. A lot of folks aren't talking about what they know. They're talking about what they do when the lights are on. Okay. They're not educating the community. They're just living in the highlight reel of things. The other thing I want you to think about, and I talk more about this in the full-blown course that I teach, but you guys are taught, I was taught to market the features, cul-de-sac, primary bedroom on the main floor, best school district, whatever, pool in the backyard, no backyard neighbors. For whatever reason, it is ingrained in us as realtors to like market the features. But guess what people don't buy? They don't buy the features, they buy the benefits. They don't buy the features, they buy the benefits. And you can't get to the benefit without storytelling. You cannot help someone understand why living on a cul-de-sac is important to them until you talk about why they should live on the cul-de-sac and why it's important. They don't care that the yard has no backyard neighbors. What they actually think about when you say that is, oh my gosh, it'll be so peaceful. Market the peacefulness, not the tree line, right? Like this is all part of storytelling. I'm getting a little jazzed. I'm gonna calm down. Normally my director of ops on KW Military texts me about right now and tells me to breathe. So I'm just gonna imagine she's here and she's telling me to breathe. But I really want you to master one thing, storytelling, and talking about the benefits of what you're doing and what you're selling, and not the highlight of just sold, just listed, over asking price. All of those are features. People don't buy features, they buy benefits. And until you can articulate out loud, online out loud, why this feature benefits a person and solves one of their problems or a problem they didn't already know they had, you stay stuck where you are. Okay, so I really want to share that with you. Next thing, put together a system around content. It doesn't have to be confusing. It can be first Monday for 2 hours, like I used to do. Don't make it difficult. Number 3, make sure you're blocking for all parts of the plan. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We talked about that. And I would love for you to take that idea to your business itself, because a lot of people, they time block. And I coach people all the time. They're like, I'm time blocking, but I don't know why I can't get to all my calls. And when I say, well, what are you doing? Well, I'm sitting down and then I'm coming up with my list and then I'm starting my dialer. And I'm like, by the time you get to your calls, you're 45 minutes into your hour. No wonder you can't hit them, right? We're not taught that way. Number 4, use your social media to showcase yourself and your value to the world. It is not self-serving. I promise you it's not. I know our mamas told us not to brag on ourselves, but hey, it's just not the way of the world anymore. So I hope this was helpful for you. I hope you all learned something while you were here for the last 45 minutes. Colleen put in there, market the lifestyle they can get in the home. Exactly. If you have any questions, I'm going to put in the chat box my personal email address. You are more than welcome to email me. I also, like I've mentioned a couple of times, I teach a full-blown 8-week course on all this stuff. We are launching actually next Thursday. If you want to come on the ride with me, the URL is mapscoaching.com, and then Build Your Social Media Empire is what you'll look at whenever you get there. And of course, everything in this is recorded. So if you can't jump on the first or the second one, the recordings are always there for you to have. And of course, if you ever need anything, let me know. If you're ever in Nashville, that's where I'm from, it's where I live now. So if you're really looking for good food or something fun to do while you're here that doesn't involve Broadway, let me know. But if you have any questions, reach out to me. I hope all of you have an amazing Thursday, and I'm glad that my lights didn't go out, although I think it's hailing outside. So I don't know, I'm gonna go check on my window leak. But if y'all have any questions, let me know. If not, it was an amazing time here with you all, and I will see you again soon. Bye, everybody.